This is Binders and Boxes, and I'm sorry. We were gone for a very long time. I'm sorry.
Time's an illusion. It's a social construct. It doesn't actually exist.
I mean, in a way, but not really. Like, things happen.
Look,
What?
look. In the time we've been gone, High Guard came out and hasn't died yet.
I mean, yeah, yeah, that's proof. Dude, I can't believe they added like the three-hand meta to High Guard. Like, no game has ever had that before. It's unbelievable.
Wait, I'm gonna be honest. I have not played High Guard at all. I was like, I don't know what you mean by the three-hand meta.
I was watching some gameplay the other day, and if you're on a horse and you pull out a two-handed weapon, your hand on the horse doesn't move, so you have three hands.
God, that's hilarious.
It's pretty good. I mean, I could see how that could happen, but it's kind of, bizarre. Nobody caught that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like from what I've heard from people who have played, that basically they feel it should have been released as like early access or like an open beta, and they should not have called it like the full release.
Yeah. But before we get too far down that rabbit hole, let's at least try to stay on topic. And the topic today is the Master Rule 4 era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Which
Yeah.
I remember. I remember the start of it anyway, and I remember being very upset because I like synchrons. I like synchrons, and I like to make rank fours, and I like
You
those
mean you like synchros, but you like the synchron strategy of making synchros?
Yes, I like to use the extra deck. I like to be able to actually, use cards that aren't the nightmares and firewall, I'm just saying. Because I was going back and I was trying to be, well read and researched for once and not just go in by the seat of my pants, which I'm doing anyway because I'm just incompetent. But what I was noticing is that what really was happening around, 2018, maybe even into 2019, I can't remember exactly when the Nightmares got banned. I'm off to a great start. I don't remember anything. I say like the Nightmares got banned, more like Mermaid got banned. But
Yeah.
my point is, you were kind of ending on a lot of really similar boards. There was a firewall in there. There were a couple nightmares in there, probably a Tri-Gate Wizard. And I guess you could make the argument that that stuff still kind of happens now, but just because Lynx came in and the whole game got sort of upended so quickly, the moment there was generic Lynx support, all the extra decks kind of started to homogenize, and it got boring, and everybody had 20 negates on board, and you had to run hand traps, and I should reel this back a bit.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, you also have to like look at, for example, so for me, for viewers at home, I kind of stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or stopped taking Yu-Gi-Oh! Seriously, like I did Magic, at around the time. Well, actually, it was a few months after Edison. Like Xyz had just come onto the scene, so maybe it's a bit longer than after Edison. And I basically went, not a huge fan of these, didn't really like them. And I also like tried to get into the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, Zexal, and I couldn't get into it. So part of me feels like the motivation to play Yu-Gi-Oh the entire time was the anime for me on some part, and not the game itself. Considering the one season I didn't follow the anime is the when I dropped the game. I now, years later, have gotten back into Yu-Gi-Oh, but not modern Yu-Gi-Oh. I have basically taken some of my favorite archetypes or strategies from back in the day and remade them with a modern flair. Now, there is one Xyz strategy I loved just because I love trains, and it's rank 10 train. So I have a casual rank 10 train deck that I like to play with. I also have an Ice Barrier deck that I really, really tried to make work because I thought the Ice Barrier aesthetic was cool. I have no idea if it's any good or not. Well, actually, sorry. I know in comparison to modern Yu-Gi-Oh, it's not a good deck. It's not a playable deck. But I enjoy it. I have a Synchron deck that EJ has played against quite a few times, and he has complained about it. I have a Black Rose deck because Akiza is awesome. I will hear no one else talk about her in that way. And then for like actual competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, I have two Edison's decks. I have Gladiator Beast and Blackwing, and they're both a ton of fun to play.
Blackwings are still just as
Um,
much of a bastard as they were back in 2010, 2011.
well, that's because Edison, they are literally what they were like back then. That's kind of the point
I
of
know,
Edison
just I
Yu-Gi-Oh.
understand I'm a grown man and I should learn how to play around Armor Master, but he sucks. Fuck him.
Oh, we EJ and I viewers at home or wherever you're listening to this, we had a game where how many five-headed dragons did you get out?
Using a combination of
Two?
Future Fusion and Dragon's Mirror, I was able to make two, and you were able to make two
Yeah,
Armor Masters.
yeah, it was great.
So whether I wanted to or not, JB was going to win the exchange, but that was a pretty wild board state.
It was a wild board state. It was pretty awesome. It was. I think that was like genuinely the most like that game was genuinely the most fun I have ever had playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
It,
Period. And I will say, I think some of that fun does come from the nostalgia aspect of it for me, but I would say the nostalgia aspect of it was not the sole source of fun. I do think Edison is like a ton of fun to play, and I think Edison is a lot more, at least from what I've seen of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I have not tried playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So I have no idea if modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, but from what I've seen of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It looks a lot faster than Edison. Where in Edison you could set a monster and pass, and that could be like a viable turn. It's not a great turn, but it's not a oh my god you are losing on the spot turn. Whereas I feel like in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, if that's what you go to for a turn, you just lose. But sorry, but we are now actually very off to not really off topic because we're talking about our background with Yu-Gi-Oh.
we haven't
So
started talking about
EJ,
Magic yet.
yeah, EJ for viewers at home is much more deep into Yu-Gi-Oh than I am. Mac is my card, well, was my card game of choice as a young child, all the way up through high school and all the way through college. Uh, People that know me personally and viewers can probably guess that I've started playing less and less Magic. Really, what was the nail in the coffin for me was the Universes Beyond decision. I think we've talked about that already, so I'm not going to go back over it again, but yeah. So, from what I understand, and you can please actually, EJ, correct me if I am wrong, because I have a very, very surface level look of this, is that before Master Rule 4 with Link monsters, the meta was like really, really fast and really, really like explosive and like running people over. And they made Master Rule 4 in an attempt to control it and slow it down, but then the generic Link stuff they made just ended up causing those same issues. But now no other archetypes could compete. Whereas before you had Synchro and Xyz archetypes that, while yes, were incredibly fast and could cause like problems, they were at least two different options for what to do. But Master Rule 4 basically said you have to play Link or you play nothing. And I do know that quite a few extra deck strategies got some Link monsters made so that they could try and be relevant in the new Master Rule 4 state, which is these are the Cyber Dragon Link monsters and the extra hero Link monsters for hero decks. You could do a Destiny hero deck and you have Link monsters, or you could do Elemental hero deck and you have Link monsters, or just a hero deck in general. So, and some of those Link supports to older archetypes, looking at them, at least from me, from an outsider's perspective, and I could be horribly, horribly wrong, they don't look that amazing.
I don't know why they seem so scared to give older extra deck strategies support. Because, like you mentioned, the heroes weren't that good. Junk Connector wasn't that good. I know Fibrax existed, but Fibrax wasn't like direct Synchron support. It was just like general. I shouldn't say general Synchron support. Crystron's a whole other thing. That card.
Well, I mean,
we got it
they
too
did
late.
Just
Sorry.
They did just give, well, by just recently, in like the grand scheme of things, Black Rose, Synchron, and Black Wing, and all three of those are synchro extra deck strategies. Like a ton of new support with the like 5Ds, like triple structure deck thing or whatever that product is called.
Yeah.
So like they do give extra deck strategies support. It just
I meant more in the form of Link monsters. Like none
Oh,
of
in the form of Link monsters.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just think they don't need to give them Link monster support anymore because they changed how Master Rule works.
Yeah, but at the time it seemed like they were really Konami, I genuinely think, was scared to accidentally go back to how things were, but what they failed to realize was that they just made another really fast format. And I could be wrong. A lot of this is my own personal recollection and
Yeah.
perspective.
I mean, I get the opinion looking at Yu-Gi-Oh sometimes that Konami sometimes might wish that the people that played the game stopped and but still bought the product. And maybe that's an entirely like wrong opinion. People that are like more into Yu-Gi-Oh than I am, please feel free to correct me in the comments.
There have definitely been instances where it seems like they're generating a lot more hype about, oh, here are some new legacy support cards and here are some new alternate arts, as opposed to look at these new archetypes and mechanics, especially lately. Or not especially lately,
I
but
mean, I've heard about some of the new archetypes, like the canine archetype and the yummy archetype. I can't really think of any other. Oh, Draco Tail, that's a new
yeah,
archetype, right?
yeah.
Um, like instead of doing Draco Tail, they could have just made Dragon Maid, which was a fan favorite archetype that wasn't like super strong. They could have just made Dragon Maid like actually playable, but they made a new archetype that was good and strong, and that's a fusion summoning archetype. Whereas Yummy is a synchro archetype, if I'm remembering correctly, and K9 is an Xyz archetype. They've kind of let pendulums die. Like, when was the last new pendulum archetype
Last
that
new
you're aware
pendulum.
of?
I want to look this up. Okay. Edit all that out. Edit out the whole episode. We're going to start this over.
We're start. Tell me you're joking.
I'm joking.
Okay.
God, we haven't gotten one in forever. I mean, we still get the occasional pendulum monster, but it's not. We don't get like
Yeah,
dedicated
but it's not. It's
pendulum
not an
cards.
archetype. Whereas, like, we have Malice. I don't. When did Malice come out? Because that's a Link archetype. Yeah, Malice came out in 2024. That was a new
Okay.
archetype in 2024, and that's a new Link archetype, right?
Right.
And it's based on Alice in Wonderland. But like, so we've gotten new Link archetypes, we've gotten new Synchro archetypes, we've gotten new Xyz archetypes. We've just not gotten new Pendulum archetypes. And I know a lot of people hate Pendulum monsters because of like how complicated they can kind of be. I don't think they're that complicated if you like take a moment to like parse through them and stuff like that. I don't think they're like any more complicated really than like Xyz or they're a bit more complicated than Xyz now that I think about it. They're not any more complicated though than Synchros, in
I'd
my
s-
opinion. I mean, maybe a bit more, but not by much.
I'd say they're more intimidating just because of the amount of text and the bigger art and the fact that they're brown and green. If you're a new player and you're trying
Yeah.
to understand the three card types and trying to understand the extra deck and this, that, and the other thing, suddenly having a card that effectively ties them all together, it makes use of each of these, mechanics all in one card, and it has tiny, tiny text and these weird scales. That's going to scare people off. And it did scare off
Yeah.
a lot of boomers. I remember whenever somebody would make like a Yu-Gi-Oh parody from like 2014 through 2020, they would always jump straight to like, oh hey, look, here's a pendulum, and be like, oh, what the fuck? They made this game dumb and lame and dumb, and I don't want to play it anymore. The irony being, if you had actually kept playing, you'd realize pendulums, assuming you weren't playing like a dedicated pendulum strategy, they are pretty non-intrusive. Like you didn't have to incorporate them. Whereas once links were introduced, ironically, as kind of a counterstep to some of the carnage pendulums could cause. With, I think it was mostly Pepe, just that brief period of time where Pepe got insane, and then they had to include
Yeah.
like 3 emergency ban list. I feel like that was a big reason Konami was like, we need to slow the game down. But the game didn't slow down. It just introduced another really fast mechanic, but it was one you had to play because all the other fast mechanics were now not viable.
How should I put this? I think the biggest problem with Link with the original Master Rule 4 is this thing that Kodok, in his Seven Deadly Sins of card games, calls unmixable attributes. Or not necessarily unmixable attributes, but like stuff that can't mix or interact well, or stuff that like forces you to interact with it, where it removes player choice and player freedom, right?
Right.
You, as the player, had no choice in what you would play. Like, you had to play with some number of links or an entire extra deck of them because of the new rule. Even if you didn't want to, if you wanted to play the game, you needed to, right?
Right.
And so that just removed player expression, player's choice, which I think is the big crime of Master Rule 4.
It was also a compounding issue because it wasn't just that, like, oh, you need to play links. It was that a lot of decks needed to play specific links, and it was like half your extra deck. I posted them in the chat here. The Nightmares, Saryuja for a bit, Borload for a bit, Firewall Dragon, because, just being
Before
able
it got banned, yeah.
Oh my god, okay. We need to talk about that. Konami would print these things, look at them, and go, they're fine. Not even thinking about how easy it would be to get, 4 co-links going, including another... 3 co-links, including another Cyberwall, and then you could bounce, your opponent's entire field back to their hand? Because I forgot the second...
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, no. The way co-linking works, so it'd be 2 for both of the firewalls because they're linked to each other, then the firewall on the bottom would be linked to. Yeah. So you could bounce 4 back to the hand, which, even if you have a decent board setup, that's... God, I'm glad Firewall got eroded. That once returned...
Did it get eroded, or did it just get...
It got eroded. I sent... The Ghost Rare I sent you is the eroded version, where they added a once per turn clause. Yeah.
Oh, I see that. Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize. I just thought you, sent 2 of them by accident.
No. No, that's fine. I can see that. I probably should have specified. I'm not good at making podcasts, JP, in case you haven't figured it out.
Neither am I. I think, is anyone good at making podcasts?
I mean, what do we classify as a good podcast? This is what the podcast is about, by the way. We're changing the subject. This is the philosophy of podcasts. This is a whole new show we're doing. This isn't funny. I'm going to stop.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, I enjoy talking with you about this stuff, and I think other people might enjoy our conversation. Yeah. Right?
I'm looking back and I'm trying to think about, the good generic cards from the other mechanics, but I was going to say, oh, well, they didn't do this with Synchros out of the gate, and they didn't do it with Xyz out of the gate, but they 100% did, because every deck played Utopia at the start. But Utopia
every deck played Utopia at the start. Every deck played...
A lot
what's its yname?
I was thinking of Goyo Guardian, but I don't know if that's...
Stardust, right? Oh, every deck played Goyo before they eroded him. Stardust, every deck played Stardust out of the gate.
Yeah.
I'm running in my Gladiator Beast Edison deck 2 copies of Stardust Dragon in the sideboard because of the trap card Stardust Road.
Yeah.
Because it's that card is so powerful, the chance that I might be able to summon it is not one I can feasibly pass up. And there's also the fact that in Edison, there's not enough legal Gladiator Beasts to, fill my extra deck, so I have the spots.
I will say, as good as those cards were, none of them could just turn your opponent's board off like the Nightmares. I'm going to go through these really quick. I forgot to send Griffin. I have it open in another tab, but I'll send you a copy in a second. So the way the Nightmares work is that when they are co-linked, they get an extra effect. Cerberus's effect is when it's co-linked, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effect. Goblin is neither player can target co-linked monsters you control with card effects. Phoenix is monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Mermaid, the infamous Mermaid, is once per turn, monsters on the field lose 1,000 attack and defense unless they are co-linked, so your opponent is going to get run over. And Unicorn is... I gotta lean in here. Draw 1 card for each different card name among those co-linked Nightmare monsters, instead of drawing just 1 card. So you're going, plus... all the co-linked Nightmare monsters, so it's not just the cards it's co-linked to. So you're going +4, your opponent's going to get run over, you can't be targeted, and on top of that, if you have all these out, you probably formed a U-Link too, which means you may very well have 7 monsters on board.
Yeah, might have taken over the... I'm
not going to sit here and lie and say this is a super common occurrence, but 1 or 2 of these was enough to make the game not fun. That was all it took. Your opponent gets 1... And again, they're just 2 monsters with different names. These aren't very hard cards to make. It's not an insane requirement. And on top of that, your opponent probably has a Firewall or a Tri-Gate Wizard. That's all I remember from this era. I would play a lot on Dueling Book, not really in paper, and I just remember being locked out all the time. I'd cook something experimental and weird and just get shut down. Which I know that's just how what did you think was going to happen? You're making something weird and experimental and going up against meta. I know, but at the very least, in the past, it felt like I'd get a turn to try something.
You not getting a turn to try something, though, might just be due to the speed of the format.
That's also true.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you were like experimenting before the Master Rule took over, and if you were experimenting before the Master Rule took over, did you like get a turn then? But if you didn't experiment before then, you might not.
I guess if we're going to draw a parallel, at the start of all of the pendulum stuff, I built this really stupid pendulum strategy where I was going to use like Spell Striker and a bunch of equip spells because now I could have 7 spells on board because the original pendulum rules said you got 2 extra spell slots for the pendulum monsters. Plus the field spell slots, so I guess that's more like 8. So you'd have a spell in your graveyard probably, so you could special summon a couple of spell strikers if you drew into them, or if you rotated one, or etc., etc. Then you'd equip Mage Power, you'd fill up your back row, and then you try to, with your 1 or 2 spell strikers, go for game. It never worked. It never ever worked. But I remember at least being able to get to the point where I could start putting the board together and get a swing or two. I mean, not in, because they typically had like something that could stop the attack. They had a way to negate the attack. But the point is, I had enough room to go, okay, I can kind of see what works, I can kind of see what doesn't, and I can adjust. Whereas in the Link era, I swear after a turn, maybe if you somehow got to a second turn, you were just stopped, dusted, done. You had to win the coin flip. And then if you bricked on the coin flip, which if you're messing around, you very, very well do, your opponent's going to take it anyway. Like,
Yeah.
these strategies were stupid strong, and you kind of had to play them.
I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel transitioned to a one-turn format for like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And part of me feels it's still in a one-turn format where you basically spend your first turn trying to make a board as unbreakable as possible, and then if you succeed, your opponent just doesn't get to play.
And that sucks because
that just never seemed fun to me. And that's like part of my issue with Yu-Gi-Oh! As a game. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy playing it casually. I play it casually with EJ. Not as consistently as I might like, because I would like to play it more consistently than we do, but we like playing it in person, and like finding time in our schedules and stuff to meet up is like the biggest issue or drawback there.
Yeah, I have to make a very arduous journey through this mystical land that very few return from, called Boston. It's I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. It's where all those Dunkin' Donuts spawned from out of the aether one day. You know, the very first thing Christopher Columbus discovered when he landed in New England was a goddamn Dunkin' Donuts.
He didn't land in New England, no.
No, sorry, shit, wait. Oh, no, wait.
Did he land in the Caribbean, if I'm remembering right, or like some of those islands?
I didn't fail social studies. You failed social studies.
That's more history than... history
Shush.
was always considered a social study.
Shush. We're
now wildly off topic, but Link's Master Rule... So I will admit, actually, EJ, that when Master Rule 4 came out, I, without even knowing Master Rule 4 was a thing, was trying to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I had, like, kind of missed it. And I'm getting into it, and I just see people running these new blue Link monsters in their deck, and I see the new extra monster zone. I knew about pendulums, and I saw that they had moved the pendulum scales from being separate to actually part of the spell trap line. And there are some days I like that decision, some days I don't. It's whatever. But I come back to, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Part of me, like, is wondering why I decided to come back to it, like, when I did. But I did choose to come back to it. And I see all these people running Link monsters, and to me, I kind of wanted to get back to Yu-Gi-Oh! To, like, play a more modern or updated version of, like, the decks I really liked growing up as a, like, child. And I wasn't really seeing that with Link monsters and with the new Master Rule. So I stopped, and I didn't get back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Then.
Like, do you really think Konami thought this was all... I mean, they must have, because they went through the decision, but considering how much they market to boomers and how they go through this period, it's like, oh, look at all this boomer product we're doing.
I don't think they were marketing to Yu-Gi boomers nearly as hard as they are now.
Yeah, but the notion, and this is, from what I understand, pure conjecture, the statement that links were introduced to slow the game down. I've never found an official source that says that. But the writing was kind of on the wall, considering what it did, or what it was supposed to do. I think it was going to sort of, or their idea was, okay, if we slow the game down, we'll get some of the older players that we're losing back in. Which didn't happen because then they just had to deal with another weird new mechanic.
I don't know necessarily that they wanted to slow the game down for older players. I think they partly wanted to slow the game down for new players because I have attempted to follow modern Yu-Gi-Oh, like watching gameplay of modern Yu-Gi-Oh, and I struggle some days to, like, when I decide to go and try and follow it, to follow it. And the places where I don't struggle are basically the places where I have like years of, not years, maybe years of experience where it's like, oh, I know what those cards do because it's like this card, it's like this other card, it's an archetypal version of X, Y, or Z card. And to newer players, they don't have that like knowledge base to get into it. And that can be like very daunting, very intimidating. And a lot of the Yugi boomers, like if you're a Yugi boomer that only plays GOAT format, you are probably never going to buy a new Yu-Gi-Oh product unless Konami like reprints like Blue Eyes White Dragon or some other like really popular GOAT card with a new like treatment or art style or stuff like that. And so I don't think, I like genuinely, I don't believe that the Link monsters were done for like boomer players. I think partly Master Rule 4 and Link monsters were done in an effort to remake the game in a way, like really flip it on its head, so that newer players aren't at as massive a disadvantage compared to enfranchised players as they are normally. Like, take Magic the Gathering, for example, if you're playing, like, Standard.
All right.
You as a new player coming into Standard, you are, yes, at a disadvantage compared to an enfranchised player who's been playing for years in Standard. Because they have a better idea of how the turn works, of the rules, how card interactions work, and the like. And they also know, like, the decision making, they know what card tempo is, stuff like that. But those are all like just general things that you are disadvantaged at whenever you come to a new card game or a new game of any kind. You have to have some time to actually learn and gain experience in the game itself. You are at a disadvantage against their knowledge base because of just the sheer amount of cards that are available in the format. But because Standard is a rotating format that has a smaller number of cards than the non-rotating formats, you don't need to learn nearly as many cards. You don't need to learn nearly as many interactions. So you can get to a very respectable knowledge base in what is in Standard. And there's a chance that if you focus only on Standard, you might get a larger knowledge pool than the enfranchised player has of Standard. Because the enfranchised player might play other formats and might devote more brain power to those other formats. Like, they might care more about Pauper than they do about Standard. They might care more about Modern than they do about Standard. And so you only caring about one format and prioritizing that one format put yourself at an advantage over them once you've like gotten the knowledge base. The biggest issue I've found with Yu-Gi-Oh for newer players, this is my personal anecdotal opinion. If people think it's wrong, they're well within their right to think it's wrong. It is purely opinion, purely speculative. The biggest issue with Yu-Gi-Oh is the fact that there is basically only one format, which is basically Vintage if you're a Magic the Gathering player. And new players that come along only have Vintage to go to play. Like, if I were to get someone to play Magic the Gathering, Vintage is not how I would try to teach them the game. I would probably try to teach them the game. Well, actually, I've done this before. I would teach them the game with what's called in Magic Kitchen Table, where I have like a bunch of decks that are all very low power, very low complexity, and they're literally just made to all be about the same power level, for me to give someone the basic rules and understanding and play against each other. And I have 5 monocolored decks for this, one of each color, and then I have 10 two-color decks for each color pairing, which are slightly more complex than the monocolored ones, but not like super super complex, so that players can get like used to the idea of multiple mana symbols on a card and a tad more complexity. Then, once that's done, I tend to move them to sealed, aka like pre-releases, where you get given 6 packs and you basically make a deck from the cards in those 6 packs. That gives them an idea of deck construction and other such stuff, but in a very low stakes environment, right? Pre-releases are great for new players. It's also kind of what they're aimed at, but they work phenomenally for new players. And that is how I've taught all of my college friends that didn't play Magic the Gathering how to play Magic the Gathering. And now they play Commander with me on occasion. So there's no real way of doing that, at least not to my knowledge. If there is, and I'm just an idiot and I'm unaware of it, like, someone please tell me. But there's no way of doing something like that in Yu-Gi-Oh! There is just, this is our format, deal with it.
I mean, there's Genesis, but that's still pretty new.
Genesis is still pretty new, and I've looked at Genesis deck lists. It's kind of becoming, like, very what archetype can run the most hand traps. Which is, I think, a problem. And there's the fact that if you are getting a new player into Genesis, you now have to explain the whole point system to them. Like, I don't think Genesis is what you would explain to a new player. I think, genuinely, Edison is the format that, like, works best for new players. But Edison is not really supported anymore. And there's also the fact that this is just me. I get bored. Like, I like it when new cards come out and they are legal in the formats I play, because I can look at them and I can see about, oh, maybe these will, like, change up how my deck operates or stuff like that. Edison, while I think it's interesting and I think it's cool to, like, play around and experiment with that, like, finite set, the card pool will not expand, no new cards will come in, I do also find it somewhat boring some days, because it's like there's nothing new or exciting being introduced by Konami to it. And maybe I'm just very short attention span. But that's, like, my, like, take, kind of.
So what you're saying is you were really, really hyped when all the Universes Beyond stuff came out.
No, the opposite of what I'm goddamn saying.
You don't want to play with white-green Zuko? I found a way to work it in. I will never let that go. That is going to come up in every podcast from now on, and you cannot stop me.
No, I don't particularly want to play with white-green Zuko. I will not lie.
You know what I want to play with? Synchrons.
What?
And Konami said no, because, it's, I don't know. I guess according to them...
Hey, you can play with them now, dude.
I know. It took them a long time to learn, but we finally fucking won. We won so hard! Okay, but... It's like 2018, how many decks are there? There's like Spiral, Goki, Sky Striker. I know there have been Tier 0 formats where you're playing one deck. You know, Dark Arm, Spiral.
Tier Lament.
Spiral, like 6 months before the Goki Sky Striker format. I think back to, like, you know, I don't know if this is early XCs per se, but the Dino Rabbit format, I remember, even though it was called Dino Rabbit format, maybe it wasn't, I always think of it as that. That era, I remember, was pretty diverse, and you could play a lot of stuff. Like, people were playing the Blue Eyes stuff, people were playing Synchrons, I could play Synchrons. Dino Rabbit was to me, it was a legitimately fun deck. I like Dino Rabbit. And,
Okay.
There's enough room for you to, if you wanted to play something rogue, you could actually do that, at least in my experience. This is me at my locals. I've never played at any officially sanctioned, well, not officially sanctioned Konami event, but I've never played it at, like, a YCS, anything on that scale. I kind of live in my own little bubble. So... if things seem wrong about what I'm saying, it's probably because of that, and I apologize. But you know what?
I've existed in an even smaller bubble for Yu-Gi-Oh! So your bubble's at least bigger than mine.
Yeah. I think if Konami was really trying to slow the game down, they shouldn't have introduced links. They should have just made Rush Duel like a year or two earlier. Because ultimately, what was it? The Duel Links version of it when it was printed in paper was called Speed Duel, but then the new cards were called Rush Duel cards, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna look that up really quick. That made more sense to me because it had that double appeal of, oh hey, look boomers, we're printing old cards again, but it was also, this is a new, more refined game that is inherently more balanced. And at least until, if I recall correctly, they started to introduce new mechanics in both Duel Links and Rush Duel, which, why? The whole point is to go in a different direction. Why are we going and retreading the same direction? It seems so weird to me that Konami will go out of their way to go back and go, hey look, we've returned to the golden era, in massive quotes, and then immediately start doing what drove people away to start with, because they're scared, oh wait, no, the synchro players won't show up to our new thing if we don't have synchros. Even though I thought this wasn't made for the synchro players. Like, am I wrong, or am I...
No, I don't. I think Konami is trying to appease to too many demographics, essentially. They are trying to, interest every single player that plays the game. The synchro player, the Xyz player, the Link player, the Fusion player, the, main deck player, because there are some main deck archetypes where you don't go into the extra deck. They're very, very, rare nowadays. You don't really see them, but they do exist. And they're also trying to increase the number of players that play their game, because they need that number of players that play their game to go up. They need... Because the people that currently play Yu-Gi-Oh!, some of them will, over time, eventually quit. That will just happen. It happens with, any hobby. Stuff happens in life, people either die, people either have stuff that, makes it that they can't do the things they used to do, and they have to, do something else. And that's just what's going to happen. Or not that's just what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen, which is why you need to bring new people into the hobby. And Konami, I feel like, is struggling to do that. I think Wizards of the Coast, with their Universes Beyond, is catering way too much to trying to bring in new people to the hobby, and not caring enough about the people that already play the game. Which, in Wizards' defense, if they can make more money to keep the game running longer, catering to new people rather than people that were already playing the game, that's the smart financial decision for them. It might be a decision I don't agree with, but if it's the right decision for them, it's the right decision for them. I'm not gonna sit here and say I know better. You
should though.
I just feel essentially left behind some days with Magic the Gathering.
JP, don't you understand? This is a podcast. You have to assert that you're right, even though you have absolutely no basis for what you're saying. That's how it works. You've got to start online beef right here and now. Do it, or you're off the show.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm not doing that. I would have loved an actual Marvel card game instead of us getting a Spider-Man Universes Beyond set and now a Marvel Superheroes Universes Beyond set.
What if it was mechanically identical to Magic, but it was recognized as a different game?
And it was being made by WotC still?
Yeah. You couldn't play the cards together, but it plays just like Magic. So if you wanted to, jump from one to the other, you could, but also new players just have to basically learn a pre-established rule set. But, it's all Marvel. So that way it's on brand, on flavor. Wizards doesn't really have to...
I mean, if they made a format basically called Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond, which is where all of the Universes Beyond stuff is legal, and it's the only place it's legal, I would have been fine with that. Because it basically means unless you want to play Universes Beyond, you don't have to.
This may just be me, but I kind of... Even then, I would have been I don't know if I want to play the Spider-Man, Avatar, Stranger Things format. I would kind of like it to be we're doing a Marvel format and a Nickelodeon format and a Netflix format. But that may be me just being
so you would have liked it to kind of be like Weiss Schwartz.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you played Weiss Schwartz or no?
I have not played Weiss Schwartz.
Okay, so in Weiss Schwartz, basically every single set either comes from some other medium. Like Weiss Schwartz has had an Avatar set. Weiss Schwartz has had several Attack on Titan sets. Weiss Schwartz has had several Sword Art Online sets. And when you go to make a deck in Weiss Schwartz, the premier format is called Neo something. I can't remember the exact name of the premier format, or like the main way to play it. Neo traditional? I don't know. I don't remember. But you can only, when you're making your deck, only mix cards that are from the same show. So, for example, like if you make an SAO deck, you can only use cards from all of the SAO sets to make your deck. And then when you go and play against someone, you play against someone who's basically done that same thing, but they might have picked a different show. So then it's your show versus their show. So there is some intermixing of IPs, but there's no intermixing of IPs within a deck. Right? So, like, there's no Spider-Man helping Cloud carry the Doctor's sonic screwdriver. Like, it would be Spider-Man fights Cloud, for example.
See, to me that feels a lot better, but maybe I'm just too,
Yeah.
like, maybe my worldview is too small.
It feels a lot better to me, too, but I also only play Weiss Schwartz casually. I do not play Weiss Schwartz competitively at all. I have several anime Weiss Schwartz decks that I made for quote-unquote aesthetic reasons. If anyone knows what I mean by that.
Gee, JB, I can't figure it out. It's a good thing you're a good Christian boy and would never ever talk about or do anything risque.
And they're funny. I have some friends that when they see my Weiss decks, they're like, "Why are you playing that?" I'm like, "You can see why. There's two reasons."
Okay, look, at least you didn't whip out a Pokemon deck and have that happen. I've had that happen. I'm
What,
scared
someone
of those
asked you,
people.
why are you playing
no,
that?
no. No, I'm not the. No. Stop. No, people don't. No. I'm not playing a lot putting in Gardevoir deck, but I've seen people do it. It's terrible. Damn it, Joker.
Uh,
Speaking of Pokemon, Nintendo is bringing new people into their hobby, but they're definitely not playing it. Just
for
my
the
god, scalping, just horrible, horrible scalping.
yeah, it's a problem.
How do you think stuff's gonna go with the Lego they're doing? Do you think that's just gonna get scalped inside out too?
I think that's being scalped to hell already.
Oh, good, great. God forbid a man wants to build an Eevee in his spare time.
First of all, I wanted the original like trio, the Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, but I saw the price for them online, and I went, no, thank you.
Well, Lego's got to cover that smart brick cost because they're never gonna make the money back.
Yeah, it was like 300 something, and I went, no, I already spent that much on the D&D Lego. I'm not gonna spend that much on another one.
I saw something scary the other day. I was in my local mall and the
What,
Lego
a
store.
woman?
Where? Where?
I'm joking.
Don't scare me like that. Anyway, I was in the local mall and our Lego store had shut down. And if the Lego store has shut down, I'm convinced that means Lego's in some real trouble. In addition to the whole economy, but that's a whole other thing. But
I don't know if that's necessarily Lego being in some trouble or if that store was in some trouble.
maybe, but like I can't think. Typically, the mall will shut down before the Lego store, in my experience, and then the Lego store will go with it. But I don't think. I think Lego may be making one mistake too many here.
I don't know. As someone who actually likes a lot of Lego's decisions, like I love the Lego Monkey Kid. I really like the more modern Lego Ninjago sets for Lego's like own IPs, essentially. And I love buying the like Lego Ideas sets. I like have no real complaints, but again, that's because I feel like the stuff that's coming out is like catered specifically to me, and it feels amazing. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Harry Potter Lego stuff. That's like coming out. I used to be like a huge Potterhead, but like I don't know, I've grown up. I would like kill someone for a Percy Jackson Lego. I would kill someone for a Percy Jackson Lego.
I'm kind of surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, shocked.
Do you think it was confusing when like they made the Lego Friends set, but Lego also has a line called Friends, so then like you had to specify?
Wait, they made a Lego Friends set?
I thought they did. I'm gonna look that up.
They probably did, but I never heard of it. I'm not a huge Friends fan, so that's probably why.
I thought they made one for the show. I may be thinking of the Seinfeld set. Oh no, there was. Hang on, I'm gonna get a picture.
Okay.
A copy image. Remember, kids, stealing images from Google isn't a crime.
Oh my god, there is a Lego Friends set. Never knew that. That's like news to me.
Do you ever feel weird looking at toys like this, where it's like, oh, hey, look, the Lego Friends set, or Lego Seinfeld, or The Office Little People, or whatever?
Yeah?
Because I don't know. I understand that,
Like,
Lego's
what do you mean feeling weird looking at it?
like, I understand that, Lego, obviously, they acknowledge that they have a very large adult fan base, and there's obviously an audience for stuff like this, but I don't know. It just...
Well, I mean, Lego, in my opinion, there is nothing, like, inherently childish about Lego. Like, it's just fun and enjoyable to build and put stuff together. Like,
I'm not
some of my fondest memories from growing up are from my mom having gone onto Craigslist and just found someone selling a literal, like, tub, basically, a giant, like, Rubbermaid bin, just full of loose, random Legos from a bunch of different sets and stuff. And those are, like, some of my, like, greatest memories as, like, a kid. Like, there was no need for a like specific set, specific instructions. It was just you, your imagination, and the bricks. And like, there's nothing inherently wrong with an adult doing that, and there's also nothing inherently wrong, in my opinion, with an adult wanting to like create a model or a little diorama of like one of their favorite things, right? Like, you can buy model kits of like your favorite car, put them together, glue them together, paint them, and like put them on your shelf to show off. And that's considered by many to be a somewhat adult hobby. But like, if an adult does that with Lego, where they buy a Lego set of their favorite car and they do that, they're considered childish. To me, Lego is just like a different form of modeling. Like, it's a different like modeling medium, right?
Well, I wasn't so much trying to imply sheer immaturity. I myself, I've got Lego kits sitting over here that I still need to build. I haven't made time or room. I'm sorry, but I've got
Same.
like the MP44 and the whatever the Williams is. I think it's the W.
So I have currently sitting in my closet, unbuilt and ready for me to build, are the Lego Dungeons and Dragons set, the Lego Anniversary Clone Trooper, like, Star Wars ship. It's the anniversary one. It's absolutely massive. The Republic gunship is what it's called, for those of you that care. Dude, I'm not gonna walk over to my closet, but I've even more than that in the like closet. That's literally just what's outside of the closet. Oh, I have the double-decker bus because I thought it was cool. I have a lot. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say, because I'm like running through the stack in my mind right now. It's a lot.
I guess what I'm getting at is when you kind of look at all the stuff that goes through the ideas process and some stuff that gets rejected and the stuff that goes through, you look at something like the Friends set and you can't help but think, really? That was one of the ones that got all the way through?
Was the Friends set an ideas set, or was the Friends set a regular set? Because the way a Lego Ideas set works is someone posts the idea to the Lego Ideas website, and then enough of the community on Lego Ideas basically needs to upvote it to get it through multiple different rounds until finally enough people have upvoted it that Lego realizes it's popular enough that they make it into a real set.
Yeah, it says right here, Central Perk Ideas. So it was an idea, but there have definitely been ideas that have made it over 10,000 that just didn't get made, which sucks because...
Well, you basically need to look at what the criteria is that, like, for that idea set. Because I think it's been a while since I've submitted or gone on ideas and like looked at them, but I think based on the number of pieces in your idea set and the like whether or not it has like another IP in it or not changes like how many votes and stuff like that it needs to pass. I believe stuff that uses IP that doesn't belong to Lego or that isn't in public domain requires more, because it requires a bigger investment from Lego to purchase that IP to make it into a like actual set.
I'm googling ideas sets that never got made just so we can
there's an idea set for a rowing crew boat for like Lego City that I
Yeah.
really wanted made. It didn't get enough votes, which was sad to me. I would have loved a rowing 8.
There's definitely some cool stuff in here. Like somebody did the Futurama ship. Somebody did the I can't think of the name. What's the name of the turtle with like the whole Earth on its back? I think it's like from the expended the extent. I can't talk.
Torterra?
Not Torterra. There's a thing in like Stephen King's Deep Lore where like the whole world rests on a turtle's back. I think. Or no, I'm thinking of something else.
I'm trying to think.
Hang
Are you
on.
talking about the world-bearing turtle?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Like somebody put that together, and I think what I'm looking at are ones that actually didn't get enough votes, but still, I just think
Like for me, if there's a Lego idea set that you really, really like, what you should do is you should upvote it and then send it to like as many people as you can and try and spread it through word of mouth or like use your platform to get it more attention than it does. Like, so product ideas. You submit the idea, either yourself or you submit it through a challenge, right? Like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Lego Ideas Challenge you sent me. Or you could do an activity, which is much smaller than a challenge, where the activity has like you have like finite numbers of pieces or finite amount of time to build it, so they're like more smaller sets. And then if you get 10,000 votes from your community, Lego will review it to make it. Just because you get 10,000 votes doesn't mean you guaranteed get made into a set. Because like if you make one from a separate IP, Lego can't like. And if Lego can't communicate or like come to an agreement with that IP to make the set, like I'm looking at right here a Lego board game idea for the game Clue, where you actually build the mansions, you can move your pieces through 3D space and stuff like that instead of it all being 2D. So they make it as a 2D mansion. It has 423 days left to get 1,000 supporters, because you have to hit the benchmarks within like certain time frames before Lego like says this idea isn't popular enough, so we're closing it. It has 208 supporters, so in basically a year, if 800 more people haven't said, hey, this idea is cool, Lego's gonna basically say you can no longer receive any more upvotes. Like that's what happened to the Rowing 8. The Rowing 8 never hit 1,000. I was one of its 472 supporters. And we didn't hit the 1,000 benchmark, so we didn't get the extension. And we can no longer get any more votes for it. It's like, it happens, right? Like, in my opinion, you can't complain. Like, I'm of the opinion that you can't complain to Lego about the lack of support, like the lack of idea sets that like got made that you would have wanted, when the ideas thing is almost entirely community driven until it gets to that final 10,000. And then once it gets to the final 10,000, Lego goes and tries to actually make the set. And then at that point, if it uses anything from a third party, it's up to that third party about whether or not they can work it out. That third party IP. But we've like horribly gone off topic.
Yeah. I'd like to make one thing clear. I think part of the reason I have so much vitriol about this is just because I don't like the show Friends very much.
Oh, I don't like the show Friends very much at all, which is probably why I didn't know about it. Ooh, EJ. Dracula's Castle is a Lego idea set right now. Has 9,497 supporters.
Yeah, I will give that a vote.
It has 700 days almost to get basically 503 more supporters.
I shouldn't do that right now because this is only going to be like a black screen, but I don't want to put shit in while I'm recording. I feel like somehow that's going to come back to bite me. Am I being overly paranoid? Probably. But if you are people of the Earth, I call upon you, go vote for Dracula's Castle because this actually looks baller and it needs to happen. For every central perk, there has to be a Dracula's Castle. Bring balance to the universe. I call upon thee.
I am logging into actually my Lego Ideas account right now to upvote it. Going through my two-factor authentication. Yes, I have two-factor turned on for my Lego Ideas account. Shut up.
No, that's fine. I'm not judging you for that. I've judged you for more important things. But look, we need less friends in the world. We need more vampires. Can we agree on that? Friends would be so much more awesome if there were vampires in it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. How did I get my username? on Lego Ideas.
How'd you get? I don't know, man. You made the account. Why are you asking
Dude, my
me?
name is Modest Bicycle.
It's him. It's him. The modest bicycle.
I like, what?
Can't believe
I thought I
JB.
made my name like the thing I use everywhere. But apparently not. My username is Modest Bicycle.
It's like the opposite of Turbro.
Do they not let you make a username? Oh, they do. Okay. Oh, my Modest Bicycle was an auto-generated one because I never set it. Okay, that's why.
JB, I can't believe they made a Yu-Gi-Oh card of you.
Shut up. Oh my gosh. You...
I can't believe they did that. I can't believe it.
I am not Psychroid. If
Wait,
I'm anything, I'm bi-Psychroid, or whatever the dual
you're
Psychroid is.
Parapsychroid. You can attack your opponent's life points directly. You better watch your
Yeah,
ass.
exactly.
Yu-Gi-Oh needs more
Wait,
things I like specifically
the
because
name Turbro is rejected because it goes against their community guidelines?
wait, what? What guideline?
It doesn't use any negative or unpleasant words, doesn't use religious or political words, does not use trademarks. An example of a trademark is Lego, and doesn't include personal info. Oh, I know what's causing it. I know what's causing it.
The bro.
No. It's stupider than that. It's stupider than that. If you guys all go to YouTube, there is a YouTube channel, Turbro, which is a car YouTube channel about like putting turbos and other such stuff in cars and like modifying them, and it's a bunch of like guys hanging out and doing it together. They have like an official YouTube channel. It wouldn't surprise me if they have the name Turbro registered as a trademark.
Man.
But they didn't make their YouTube channel till 2015. I've been using Turbro as my online handle since my Webkins account when I was 5.
I guess you're modest bicycle now. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
You've got to
Yeah,
regenerate.
I'm gonna go back to Modest Bicycle. That one was actually fire.
Man, I wish there was some way for me to get place to place without damaging the environment. The modest
No!
bicycle.
In the time I changed off of Modest Bicycle, someone else took it.
Who took modest bicycle?
If it was an auto-generated one by Lego, someone probably just made a Lego account and Lego gave it to them.
Fuck, if I had been making my account like I probably should be, I could have taken modest bicycle from you.
You could have, you bastard.
I could have opened your Time Lord watch.
There we go, got it. I did Modest underscore bicycle. That one's not taken.
Incredible. Incredible.
Oh my god. Oh.
So anyway, if Magic does Universes Beyond for Friends, I'm going to lose my mind. That goes double for Yu-Gi-Oh! If Yu-Gi-Oh! X Friends never happens, we're ending this podcast.
I don't think we're ever going to see a Yu-Gi-Oh! Universes Beyond. Maybe. I will say this. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Universes Beyond is way more likely than Pokemon Universes Beyond. But I think both of those are incredibly unlikely.
The Pokemon X Digimon crossover we've all been waiting for actually happens.
Yeah, that's not happening.
But what if it did, though?
No, that's not dude, come on.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. There would be... For starters, the internet would, do things, and I don't think we need those to happen. I mean, the internet already does things, to be fair, but that would just, amplify it. It's kind of like microwaving a microwave, you know what I mean? All the magnets and stuff, just make it...
Yeah.
I feel bad whenever I do these, because you're very well put together and very well spoken, and then I'm like, dude, with
I
the
don't
thing...
know if I would say I'm very well put together or well spoken, but thank you for the compliment.
Anyway, we should try to steer this back on topic, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Adjacent.
Yeah, we really should.
Yeah. Gotta right the ship.
Is it Yu-Gi-Oh! Adjacent? We're talking about Legos.
No, it is, I swear. It all comes together. Because you see, Block Dragon... Anyway.
Oh my god. Block Dragon anyway. Oh, what a way to go.
Anyway, Konami wasn't...
That is a trend.
So, Konami ends up undoing Master Rule 4 in 2020. Thank God. And I think it was about the right time to do it. Not that I think they could have known what was going to happen, but considering what did happen, God bless them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that came with a side effect because pre Link Summon, I had been building a Luna Light deck. And right as I got that all wrapped up and ready to go, Link's came around. So I couldn't use it anymore. Or at least I couldn't use it as effectively. And then Link's were now reeled back in. And immediately Luna Lights got banned because, or not banned, but a lot of their stuff got banned because they were too good.
Yeah.
Because they're a really, really good fusion strategy, which, man, I was looking forward to using that deck too, and just, things don't always work out how you want them to.
No, they don't. But that's like kind of life in a nutshell. Like,
Yeah.
if everything in life worked out perfectly as you would want it to, there would be, in essence, no real struggle. And I'm not saying that struggle is necessary for life to be like worth living or for life to truly be lived. But I do feel struggle is an important part of life, essentially. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, my struggle though right now, my struggle, and people are gonna laugh at me. It's like one of the most goddamn like first world problem struggles of all time. Is I am trying to find a place that is on my commute home where I can play Flesh and Blood every week. Because I am trying to find my new competitive card game now that I've kind of like let Magic like fall away. Like Magic is no longer my competitive card game of choice. I'm not a huge fan of seeing universes beyond cards being used against me and stuff like that. And I really enjoy Flesh and Blood and how Flesh and Blood plays. So I'm trying to find a place, and I am struggling. That is my struggle right now.
You may have to open your own card shop, JB. I'm sorry. You may be done for here.
Yeah, open my own card shop. Who's gonna buy the cards?
I will buy all of your cards all at once. That can only go well. This is how business works, right? This is economics. I failed that class too.
Yeah, well, also, that doesn't change the problem of I need people still to play with. So if I open my own card shop, I now need people to show up to this card shop to play Flesh and Blood.
How big is Flesh and Blood in America right now?
I don't know.
Because I only ever heard about it through you. And I played it a bit and I thought it was neat. But I never felt that urge
think it's neat.
I never felt the urge to buy into it, though, is the thing.
I mean, that's completely understandable not to feel the urge to buy into it. Flesh and Blood is expensive of a card game.
Yeah.
Like, very expensive. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Flesh and Blood is more expensive than Magic. Or at least I have found it to be more expensive than Magic. And maybe I'm just playing the wrong kinds of decks. The current dude, I had a Viserai deck. He's a generic Runeblade. He's Living Legend, so I can't play him anymore, but I loved him. He was so much fun to play. My current deck that I'm playing is a Jarl Vertriti deck. He's a Ice Earth Guardian, because my other decks have Living Legend. And, like, when Viserai Living Legend, I thought about transitioning to a different Runeblade, but I didn't want to transition to the Lightning Runeblade, and the Lightning Runeblade very quickly Living Legend, and then I didn't want to transition to the Earth Runeblade, because I would have had to get all these, like, new Earth cards, and, like, it would have not been, like, an easy, seamless transition. And then he very quickly Living Legend, and now we have a Shadow Runeblade who stuck around. And the Shadow Runeblade is still legal, but the Shadow Runeblade is, like, very slow, very methodical, kind of, in comparison, and I'm not, like, a huge fan of, like, that gameplay with Viserai. I don't know how big FAB, or Fab, or Flesh and Blood, whatever you want to call it, is in the US. I do know that there is a new format coming out called Silver Age that is, like, trying to, like, make a new place for people to play certain cards and stuff like that. It's called Silver Age. I might dip my toe into Silver Age and try playing Flesh and Blood Silver Age. I do know, in terms of, like, size, that the what's it called? There are like national events, like the national championship event for the US gets like quite a few like people to attend. Like it is a very well attended tournament. And on Flesh and Blood's own website, if you look at registered stores with them that host Flesh and Blood events, there's over 2,000 local game stores registered with them in the US.
That's
So,
actually way more than I would have thought.
yeah. My biggest issue is I like basically put in like the zip codes of like the places I go through on my commute home from work. And I like go to those places like and I find a bunch of stores that are on my commute and I go to their website and I look at their like when do they play Flesh and Blood and I look at it and I basically see okay, they play Flesh and Blood this week at this time, this day of the week at this time every single week. How quickly can I get there? Like where are they on my commute home? And like the closest one would have me showing up 30 minutes late to the event.
No.
Like and there's a few where I would show up like an hour late to the event just based on like when I get out of work and like when the trains and stuff run and travel and stuff like that. And it's like kind of annoying.
Yeah, no,
Um
that sucks.
there is a like comic and local game store like literally right next to the train stop called Zenith Comics. I would love it if they would register as a Flesh and Blood like store. But I don't even think they sell Flesh and Blood product. I've been in there a few times and I've bought comic books and stuff like that. They sell Magic product, they sell Yu-Gi-Oh product, and I've seen people play Commander there, but I've not seen anyone play Flesh and Blood.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this probably isn't the easiest game to sell. Because,
Yeah. Well, like, there was one store I went to called Webway, and Webway, basically everyone at Webway, like, played Flesh and Blood. Like, Flesh and Blood was huge at Webway. Like, I would go to Webway, like, on a random day, and I would see, like, a bunch of people just in there playing Flesh and Blood, and, like, a handful of people in there playing Magic. Like, even on the days where Webway would be like, oh, today's Commander night, I would go in and I would see more people playing. I would see more people playing Flesh and Blood than playing Commander on actual Commander night.
which is crazy.
So to me, that kind of sends the message that Flesh and Blood, while a popular game, is somewhat more cult-like, if that makes sense. Where the people that play Flesh and Blood are playing Flesh and Blood, and they are not. They are like. How should I put this? They are basically forming these small, very tight knit communities. And if you're not in one of those communities, like you basically have to find a game store that is.
That's rough. This is a bit of a dour way to look at it, but I think the era, at least in the United States, of the physical card game is kind of coming to an end. Like between the scalping and the decisions Wizards is making and the decisions Konami are making, it just doesn't seem as easy to get into slash profitable slash whatever as it was in the late 90s and early 2000s. Whereas if you play something like Hearthstone, you just need a computer or an iPad. So I wouldn't be
Yeah.
shocked if these games go all digital at some point.
I don't want them to go all digital.
I
Like
really
I
don't.
really
Yeah.
like the in-person aspect of them, but
Which is
yeah.
that's the whole point of Flesh and Blood. But it's not
Well, that's why it's called Flesh and Blood. It's 'cause
exactly.
the creator of the game doesn't want it to go all digital. I think part of the issue with like how easy it is to like play these things is there's also the fact that like people don't like to change from their card game. Like at least in my friend group of people that play Magic the Gathering, I am very outside of the norm in like my local weekly commander group, which is like a bunch of guys that go to this like local game store. There's actually I can give you a player count of how many of them there are of us because we're all in a Discord server, and I can just go to members and count it. There are 60 of us that regularly show up in attendance there.
All right.
63, but who's counting specifics? Of those 63 of us, I and one other person play other card games. like other than Magic. Me and one other person play like card games other than Magic. Everyone else is basically we're playing Magic and that's it. And to be even more static, I guess would be the word, we play Commander and nothing else, Magic the Gathering players. To give you some perspective on what they're like.
Do you
Uh, there are a few of them there that play formats of Magic other than Commander, but not a ton. Basically, the people in that group are Commander only players. They're not really Magic players. I mean, they are Magic players in the sense that they play Magic the Gathering, but they only play one game mode of Magic the Gathering. They don't really explore or interact with the alternative game modes to Magic the Gathering.
do you
Um,
think that Commander will ever lose its edge as the format at this rate?
I don't think so,
That's a
but
shame.
actually, I think it might at some point because Modern was at one point the format where like Modern was the biggest format in the world for Magic the Gathering. It was the most played one, stuff like that. And now it's not. I do think Commander has a lot of things going for it that Modern didn't have. Like for example, Commander is a casual format whereas Modern is a competitive format. So you need to play Modern competitively, whereas you can play Commander casually. And there are people that play Commander competitively, right? But you don't have to. Whereas if you go to like a Modern tournament, right? And you play Modern casually, you've basically thrown your entry fee away, right? Like some people would consider that like a waste of time.
Yeah.
And the competitive mindset, like not everyone wants to play their hobby competitively. I enjoy playing my hobby competitively, but there are also days or moments where I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with the stress that comes with the competition. Sometimes I like the stress of competition, but today I'm not really feeling it. I would much rather like play casually and kind of turn my brain off a little bit, not have to like press on the gas as much, right?
Right.
And that's like Commander. Like Commander is a place where you can go to like take your foot off the gas in terms of like playing the game and focusing. And add in the fact that in Commander, because it's a casual format and people are there to have fun, you're not there necessarily to win. Like winning is maybe something you want to do, but you're really there to have fun. If you make a mistake and you immediately realize it or you realize it a little bit afterwards, oftentimes people will let you take that back so that you can like still enjoy and play the game. And we call this when it happens, we call this moving to cheat step because you're going back and you are doing what is literally in the rules of Magic considered cheating if you are playing competitively, but you're doing it to like foster a more fun experience. And I could see Commander. I don't see Commander ever being unseated as the like number one Magic format from a non-casual format. I could see maybe a different casual format coming along and unseating Commander, but I don't see a competitive format coming along and unseating Commander. That's just my opinion.
I think I think it would be really cool if Yu-Gi-Oh had a format like Commander, but it followed the rules of the virtual world arc. But I think we're a little
Oh,
too
where you had
far.
like a deck master and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
but I think we're a little too far past the era that would have been cool. I don't think anybody would play it now, which is a shame.
Yeah. Well, because I think all of the people that have stuck around with Yu-Gi-Oh now are the purely competitive players. I don't think I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think a single person is stuck with Yu-Gi-Oh that is playing the game casually. MBT, who's a Yu-Gi-Oh content creator, has a phenomenal video about we need to talk about the way we talk to or talk about each other. I can't remember exactly, but in it, he is talking about how people have like basically made fun of Doug or Dzef for like not doing well in like some of their collaboration content with MBT, where because like they're basically opening packs and trying to build a deck from those packs and stuff like that. And MBT basically says some of those are like archetypes Doug has never played. But I have a YouTube series called 10-Minute Testing where I basically show you in 10 minutes, or not 10-minute testing, 10-minute overview, where I basically show you in 10 minutes what the archetype can do. So I have played almost every single archetype this game has to offer at this point in time. Doug hasn't done that. And you're like making fun of him essentially for not having done that. And when he gets an archetype that he knows really well and he builds a like really try hard deck, a really competitive deck from what he opens, you guys complain about the fact that he like built something that wasn't any fun, essentially. Right?
Yeah, that's Yu-Gi-Oh. That's Yu-Gi-Oh.
And so like their fan bases were basically making fun of them for not playing as competitively as possible, but then at the same time complaining when they would play as competitively as possible because it wasn't as entertaining to watch.
I think what the average Yu-Gi-Oh player craves is Grand Maju. Because they're always like, oh, well, it was too, it's either too this or too that. But Grand Maju is like, oh, well, it's off meta, and it's actually really pog when you can, like, Grand Maju isn't consistent enough, and it's not that fun to play, and it's not that fun to watch. Stop doing that thing where, I swear every format someone has a new Grand Maju cook. They're like, oh no, this is the one. And it's like, fine, whatever. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks they have the new shit. But really, they think the new shit's the old shit, but because it's the old shit, it's been tried before. And, you know, it's had success before, you know, top to YCS.
Yeah.
But it's not, that's not it. I'm sorry, it's boring. Or at least it's boring by the metrics you're measuring boring by. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But we have now like horribly gotten off topic for like links in Master Rule 4 and stuff like that. But I do feel we exhausted everything we had to talk about links in Master Rule 4 within like the first 40 minutes.
Yeah. I guess that's our cue to start wrapping this up. So, JB, any other thoughts? Anything else you want to get out there in the world about these funny blue cards?
Not that I can think of. I what I will say is I think more people should give Flesh and Blood a try, but I entirely don't blame them due to the fact that Flesh and Blood is, in my opinion, more expensive than Magic the Gathering to get into as a competitive card game. And I don't blame someone for not wanting to get into a hobby that expensive. I don't blame them at all. But yeah, other than that, and me saying I feel more people should try Flesh and Blood, I got nothing. You got anything?
I will leave everyone with this. Links are not the issue here. I think links are a totally fine mechanic. I think everything that happened from the end of Pendulums through links, through Master Rule 4 being rolled back, through, the Mystic Mind stuff in Kashtira, if you remember that whole thing, there was a YCS clip going around where Kashtira basically locked out a whole board. I think Yu-Gi-Oh's greatest enemy to this day is Konami, which it has been since the start. And I wish Konami, not just in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh, but just in terms of their whole company, would get better because they used to be the man, and now they are a joke. And I hate that. Because they have some of the most fire franchises ever, and they keep screwing them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they'll have like a little flash, like the Silent Hill 2 remake wasn't bad, and, you know, we've had some good formats in the past few years, but they're just not who they were, and I wish they could bring it back, but it probably won't happen. So, I'll leave it there, and I hope you, everybody watching or listening to this, has a very good night. Good night.
Night, y'all.